Who are the prospects that you are most likely to see in the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft? Well, you're in the right spot. I have scouted many draft prospects this season, and I have determined who the 50 best ones are in the 2024 draft. If you're new, subscribe to the channel as I am releasing draft content all year round. But for now, I'm Chase Keller, and welcome to the 50 best prospects in the 2024 NFL Draft. Enjoy. Let's get right into the first chunk of prospects here, as at number 50, my wide receiver 10, I have Virginia wideout Malik Washington. He's a super shifty wide receiver with good hands and will overall be a reliable threat at the next level. But with him being in a 5'8", 194-pound frame, he will likely be stuck in the slot. I compared him to a bite-sized Deebo Samuel, and I can't wait to see his high upside go to work at the next level. Utah safety Cole Bishop is my number 49 prospect and the third best safety in this class. He's an explosive athlete with very quick and efficient footwork. He also packs a punch in his tackles, and overall he is a gritty player who won't give up until the whistle. I will admit though that his zone transitions are often late and he leaves too much space in off-man coverage. Number 48 on my big board is Bucky Irving, who is the second best running back in this class. He bounces off tackles really well, and he brings one of the best athletic skill sets of anyone in this entire draft. Despite that, he is undersized, he has sometimes inconsistent vision, and he has dropped a lot of passes. Clemson linebacker Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is number 47 with his great athletic traits that can impact in both the pass and the run. But he does have a much smaller frame for the linebacker position, which combines with his bad pursuit and block deconstruction abilities. We get back to the safeties as Georgia's Javon Bullard is number 46. As the second best safety in this class, he plays a heads-up kind of ball with his IQ, speed, and anticipation that should get him far. But his explosiveness is pretty mediocre, and he should be drafted into a scheme that doesn't do a lot of cover one looks. And then we return to the running backs, as my number one back in this class is Florida State's Trey Benson. He's a super violent runner who is hard to bring down because of his contact balance and ability to break tackles. Unfortunately, he doesn't have that breakaway speed, nor does he have the good elusiveness to have both sides of the spectrum in his skill set. So he's number 45 on my big board altogether. Penn State edge rusher Adisa Isaac is number 44 on my big board and the 6th best edge. He's got a really good go-to rip move that combines well with his first step and his top-notch lateral ability. But he needs to expand on that pass rush arsenal, as well as finding out how to break good grip strength. On to 43rd, as Arizona offensive tackle Jordan Morgan brings in great experience, athleticism for the position, and a great initial strike. But his run blocking isn't great, and even in pass pro, his hand technique can be a little erratic. I still have him at number 43 though. And then we have back-to-back corners, with my cornerback 8 being Oregon's Kyrie Jackson. Jackson has a physical play style that will definitely translate in press, and he has the long vertical strides to help him stay attached going deep. But his anticipation is really average because of his explosiveness and reaction time. And then we end this set of 10 with Michigan corner Mike Sainristil, the 7th best corner and 41st best prospect. He's a very explosive athlete who is great in run support and also impacts as a blitzer. His anticipation is solid, and he's alignment and scheme versatile. But even if he was versatile with Michigan, it probably won't stick to the NFL, as his smaller frame will put him in the slot. Alright, let's kick off the top 40 in this class with the number 1 safety in Minnesota's Tyler Nubin. He's got some elite zone instincts and functions best as a cover 1 safety. Along with that, he does have some good ball skills as well, but he's not the most trustworthy player in cover 2 situations, as his zone transitions are mediocre. Alabama edge rusher Chris Braswell is 39 with his great play strength and explosive first step, but his smaller pass rush arsenal and mediocre flexibility around the edge is what keeps him as only the 5th best edge rusher in this class. The first of 3 straight wideouts on my board is Georgia wideout Ladd McConkey. He's an elite yak threat with the shiftiness, physicality, and vision to give him even more upside as a route runner. but his lean frame, medical concerns, and inconsistencies when beating press is what turns me away. The second of these three is Oregon's Troy Franklin. He's a high IQ route runner with great spatial awareness, explosiveness out of vertical routes, and a lot of reps where he made off-script plays. But behind these positives is a lean frame, okay play strength that really shows out of press, and a massive drop concern with a 10% drop rate in 2023. Makes sense why I comped him to Marquez Valdez-Scantling. And the speedster in Texas wideout Xavier Worthy is 36th on my big board. That speed and overall athleticism is clearly a positive, along with his alignment versatility. And the play strength does not show out on tape, and he does not have contested catch upside. We expand out of wideouts as the number one linebacker, Michigan's Junior Colson, is 35th on my big board. He's an elite tackler, he has great gap control, he's an explosive athlete, he deconstructs upfield blocks extremely well, and he's a strong hitter. While he does drift too far in zone coverage and can get a little grabby in man, he does have a very good skill set and resume. Let's go back to wide receiver, as my wide receiver 6 and number 34 overall prospect is LSU's Brian Thomas Jr. He's a very good deep threat and red zone threat who really impacts as a playmaker and a decision maker. But his play strength is mediocre, and he dropped 8 passes on 135 targets in 2022 and 23 combined. The first defensive tackle finds his way into 33rd with Texas's Byron Murphy II. As the third best defensive tackle in this class, he has an explosive first step, is a relentless effort player, and his lateral ability is really nice. Despite that, he does have some really bad footwork, and he gets knocked balance too often, which takes away run defending value. As we get into the top 32 with 32 first round selections this year, Iowa cornerback Cooper DeJean is my number 6 corner in this class. He's great at mirroring receivers, does a good job going deep, and his alignment and positional versatility allows for him to get many opportunities in many places. But he does struggle with consistent footwork, and I genuinely do not know what scheme he will fit in at the next level. And then the first quarterback to be mentioned finally comes up. At number 31, I have Oregon quarterback Bo Nix. I love his pocket presence, his accuracy in the short and medium game, and his sneaky athleticism. But the quarterback who reminds me of Derek Carr doesn't do much in the deep game, and he will be a 24-year-old rookie. When you have guys like Caleb Williams, Drake May, and JJ McCarthy being juniors, that's not going to help you. Moving into the top 30, I have another bold take in Texas tight end Jatavion Sanders. As my tight end 2, and him being very high on my board compared to most, he is an explosive receiving threat. He's got the route running, the spatial awareness, and the catch radius to impact there. But while he wins in the receiving game, he loses in the blocking game with his bad technique and mediocre play strength. Number 29 on my board is Mizzou cornerback Ennis Rakestraw Jr., who is really good out of press coverage. He also puts together some great anticipation and footwork, but he is a smaller cornerback who has the tendency to hold when he gets beat. And then we get to a very intriguing prospect. Oregon center Jackson Powers Johnson is my number 28 prospect with his elite play strength, explosiveness off the line, phenomenal hand technique, and patience when he doesn't have a blocking assignment. He can play overly aggressive at times as he can get hit happy, and he plays too compact and should utilize his length more. Will he be a first round pick despite him being a center? Let me know in the comments. Alabama cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry is my first of 2 Bama corners here inside the top 27. Kool-Aid is a super physical corner with the explosiveness and the patience that will work in a press-heavy scheme. But his ball skills and underdeveloped footwork is going to bring in concerns. Florida State wide receiver Keon Coleman is, in my eyes, the 5th best wide receiver in this class. He's got extremely high upside, and even if he loses with athleticism, route running, and breakaway speed, he does bring in a top 0.1% catch radius, a wide frame with great physicality that's difficult to stop, and the release package to separate out of press. We're halfway done with these prospects as Penn State edge rusher Chop Robinson finds his way into the top 25. He's got that fantastic first step that utilizes explosiveness, lateral ability, and a good speed to power translation. In the run game, he does struggle to deconstruct blocks and just isn't a great run defender overall. Offensive tackle number 5 and number 24 on my big board is Washington tackle Troy Fautanu. A lot of analysts love this guy because of his lateral ability, explosiveness, and great hand technique that shows in pass and run. But he is undersized for the position and can play overly aggressive in the run especially. We go with 2 straight offensive tackles here as Oregon State's Talisa Fuaga is number 23. Unlike Fautanu, Fuaga is a huge player at 6'6", 334, and he provides great play strength and explosiveness off the line. But also, unlike Fautanu, he is a right tackle who has inconsistent hand technique and pass pro, and he might just be a pure run blocker in the league. Then we have the consensus cornerback 1 in this class in Quinyon Mitchell, who is my cornerback 3 and overall number 22 prospect. I don't have him as high as others because he plays way too often off-man coverage, his zone transitions are slow, and his production was manipulated by one very windy game. I will say though that he has amazing explosiveness, great deep speed, and phenomenal anticipation when it is at its best. There is a reason why he's still this high on my board. And number 21 is a very bold take, as my best interior O-lineman in this class is West Virginia center Zach Frazier. I gotta read this out. Explosiveness, experience, hand technique, grip strength, gritty play styles, and even more are all reasons why I love Frazier as a prospect. I understand the concerns surrounding his lateral ability and all-around athleticism, but he's still a good one. Now we get even bigger and bolder with the top 20. Let's go bigger first as we talk about Michigan's Chris Jenkins at number 20. As the number 2 defensive tackle in this class in my eyes, he can defend both the pass and the run with his great explosiveness, gap control, and lateral ability. But he needs to learn how to use his hands better, as he does struggle to deconstruct good hand tech. Then the best Bama corner that I have on my board is Terrion Arnold at number 19. His elite footwork and vertical speed allow for him to stay attached to his receiver, but even if he gets targeted, he also has great ball skills as well. But his anticipation is not great in zone and off-man looks, and he is an inconsistent tackler. Then we get to one of my favorite prospects in this class, Texas wide receiver A.D. Mitchell. He's only my wide receiver 4, but he has wide receiver 1 upside with his release package, red zone ability, slippery play style that shows in routes and in yak. The list just goes on. What holds him to wide receiver 4 is his inconsistency separating vertically, and he can play lousy if the ball's not coming to him. Florida State edge rusher Jared Verse is number 17 on this list, and he almost became my edge number 2 with his dangerous first step, his super wide pass rush arsenal, his great athleticism and explosiveness, all capped off by his prototypical frame. He did miss over 23% of his tackle attempts at the collegiate level, which is very concerning, and he's not an impressive run defender. Staying on the defensive line, I have the best defensive tackle in this class with Illinois' Jerzon Newton. His combination of elite play strength, great flexibility, and all-around technique really shine on tape. But he does struggle to consistently use that great technique in the pass rush, and he's slower to set the edge. Then the second best edge rusher in this class, in Alabama's Dallas Turner, keeps us on that defensive line. Turner's athleticism is really what shines, as he has great lateral ability and speed. He also turns that athleticism into a good bull rush. But the play strength is what's really lacking, as he gets held up way too much. And then we return back to the quarterback position. Michigan's J.J. McCarthy is QB5 and number 14 overall. He's an elite game manager who has more traits outside of being a smart passer, including great athleticism, good arm strength, and nice pocket presence on top of it. He does have a lean frame though, and his overall inconsistencies will concern teams and might turn them away. Prospect number 13 is the number 3 wideout in this class in Washington's Rome Odunze. I made a whole video about him because I was so intrigued on how good he plays at all 3 levels. But I did uncover that his deep speed is a little bit of a concern, and some of his route breaks run on for too long. Another guy that I'm higher on is Alabama offensive tackle J.C. Latham, who has a huge frame with great play strength. He holds so many great traits in both the pass and the run, but he can get overly aggressive and he needs to learn how to sustain blocks. And back to the QBs, as I have Jaden Daniels as a shocking QB4 and number 11 prospect. I will obviously say that his athletic ability is unheard of at the quarterback position, and combining that with his deep ball ability makes him very intriguing. But he struggles to throw down the middle, he throws his body out there way too much, and he's just overall pretty raw. That's not something you want to see when you're competing with juniors for the top QB spots. Alright, let's move into the top 10. I'm going to be diving into these guys a little deeper and showing more film on all of these guys. And it begins at number 10 with my QB3, Washington's Michael Penix Jr. Penix is really high on my board because he is the best deep passer in this class. He's got the arm strength, the deep accuracy, and the deep reads to work so well in the clutch as that deep ball thrower. Most of his vitals are really concerning though, as he's 24 with heavy injury concerns, and a surrounding core that could have been debated as the best in FBS last season. My pro comp for him is Joe Flacco. Number 9 on my big board is the second best defender in this class, UCLA edge rusher Laiatu Latu. As the best edge in this class, he has a prototypical frame, is a super violent and effective pass rusher, and his first step and effort just adds more value. He was medically retired at one point though, and he has a tendency to play too upright, especially as a run defender. His pro comp is Jalen Phillips. Number 8 on my big board is Penn State offensive tackle Olu Fashanu. He's an extremely strong and athletic tackle prospect who has great footwork, does a good job at transitioning between pass rushers, and he still has more room to grow. That's because I have concerns with his tendency to hold one speed around the edge, and his pad level is concerningly high, but those can both be coached. His pro comp is Terran Armstead. Number 7 is, in my eyes, the best defensive prospect in the 2024 NFL Draft. Clemson cornerback Nate Wiggins puts together a great combination of physicality and athleticism. His athleticism might be the best in this class, as he works so well out of press coverage. On the downside, he has a very lean frame, he leaves way too much space when an off man, and he can get knocked off balance when backpedaling. His pro comp is a lean Jamel Dean. As we get into number 6, the final offensive line prospect finally makes his way, as the best one here is Notre Dame offensive tackle Joe Alt. Alt has a huge 6'8", 315-pound frame, and it shows in his run game play strength, where he is never getting pushed backwards. More appealing though is his athleticism, as the former tight end is super explosive, moves well laterally, and can work upfield in the NFL. His hand technique in pass pro is not good though, and he allows the pocket to collapse way too easily. His pro comp is Colton Miller. Now, I can't show the film of these next two guys as they are a part of the SEC, and they won't let me show it even if it's all 22. But kicking off the top 5 here is LSU wide receiver Malik Nabers. He is a true deep threat for the NFL with his speed, route running, and contested catch upside. But with how he was utilized at LSU, I'm a little concerned for his route tree and his ability in yak, as I didn't see enough of that. His pro comp is Jamar Chase. And then number 4 on my big board is this class's best tight end, Georgia's Brock Bowers. He is extremely athletic for the position with his speed, alignment versatility, and yak ability, and he's basically a wide receiver in a tight end's body. Despite that, some of his routes can be a little lousy, and he struggles to separate up the seams. His pro comp is literally nobody. He's himself. I'm going to get back into showing the film now, as shockingly enough, number 3 on my big board is USC's Caleb Williams. The great quarterback prospect isn't my number 1 QB, but the arm talent is absolutely there, as he has the arm strength and accuracy, plus the improvising ability to be such a lethal quarterback in the air. That doesn't even include that he's athletic as well with good scrambling upside. The only negative I have of him is his pocket presence, as he can escape well, but he needs to learn to time these escapes at better rates. His pro comp is Kyler Murray. Okay. Yes, I am totally that bum that has Drake May out of North Carolina as my number 1 QB over Caleb Williams, but hear me out. He's your prototypical quarterback with the arm strength, pocket presence, accuracy, athleticism, the list goes on. There are so many phenomenal traits with this guy that he has extremely high upside. No wonder he's drawing comparisons to Justin Herbert with Josh Allen athleticism. Negatively, he does struggle to diagnose blitzes pre-snap, and overall, his reads and diagnostics could use some work as he enters the league. His pro comp is in fact Justin Herbert. And finally, the number one prospect in the 2024 NFL Draft is a guy who I project will be a Hall of Famer, and that is Ohio State wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. Harrison Jr. is an extremely explosive wideout with the best route running ability in this class. His deep speed is outstanding, his body control is elite, he is very physical at catch point, and just like Drake May, there are so many traits that Harrison possesses where he's got crazy upside. I see him being a top 5 wideout right away, even though he struggles to break tackles and he didn't get enough yak opportunities at Ohio State. His pro comp is AJ Green. Well, those are the 50 best prospects in the 2024 NFL Draft. If you want to see the full list combined, check out the description below. Do you agree with my list? Who did I miss? Let me know in the comments section below. Wait, are you not subscribed yet? Well, do it now. I release content like this all the time and would really appreciate your support. I'm Chase Keller from Chase Keller Journalism, and I will see you all next time.